Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were never bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find
Good evening and welcome to the 500th episode of the X-RAD Show, the talk show that gets you talking on the Xandemonium Radio Network, live from New York City. I'm Xander Gibb.
And I'm Tyhe, Egar.
On today's show, the hottest of topics, and in part 2, Thomas S. Schmitz joins us. More to come in a mere moment. So you can tweet us. The tweet deets are on the X-RAD Facebook show page for today. You can join in. My brain just died now. You can join in with the on the live feed that's around the video, and we will endeavor to involve you in the conversation. Sorry, I had brain fry them. So welcome back to the show, Ty. It's great to have you back. I can't even remember when it was the last time you co-hosted. Can you?
I think it was with you and Thomas, actually. It was not long after Mr. Trump walked into the White House, I think.
Right.
I think it was somewhere around then. So it was a little while ago, but not that long ago. But now I'm old. I'm officially old. It was before my... Yes, because ladies and gentlemen, I am now 50 years old.
And you think that makes you, and you think that makes, you think being 50 makes you old? Wow. I wonder what people out there.
No, it makes me closer to an age that I thought I thought I was immortal. All right, so you get to 50 and you realise you're not. But parts of me, nothing's fallen off yet, so I'm happy.
Well, I'm sure Caitlyn Jenner can't say the same thing, but we will move swiftly on. So I want people to, because obviously we have a whole different audience from back like a year ago. But I want people to know a bit about you. So you are a broadcaster, you're a writer, you're a presenter, you do a whole host of stuff. You also are a fitness trainer, aren't you? Now.
I'm qualified. Yeah, I'm only training people from a distance at the moment. As in, I'm not working actually in a facility at the moment. So what I do at the moment is put programs together for people. So I ask them hundreds of questions and then put programs together for them and follow that through with them. So I get to torture them from afar, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Because they can't, it's great. So yes, so I'm still working in training, I'm still working in nutrition with people, and I'm now actually about to increase my qualifications. I'm getting a little obsessed, but I fell away from the gym for a little while, so I've got to go back.
Me too.
I preach. So it's just as well run radio right now, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's all right for you. They can see me, and it might be a pretty sight, but it ain't a skinny sight. Let's say that. So I want to talk a little bit about your writing because you are, like me, you're a bit of a sci-fi aficionado, and that kind of spilt over into your writing as well, didn't it? Tell us what your book is called, and tell us a little bit of what it's about.
Okay. So the book is actually about to be republished. It's called Mother's Ruin. It's about to be published with a different publishing house. It's book one of the don't write about Star Trek, and I love Star Trek, by the way, so
right.
Star Trek fans, please don't think I'm disrespecting you. But what I mean is I don't write about flying saucers and spaceships, but I do write about quantum shifting. I write about organic changes. I write about scientific changing in that sense. So it's a story of the changing of the human race, basically, and split between two factions of the human race. So the first book is going to be available again soon. Mothers are in the second book. I'm kind of halfway through Broken Flowers, but it's going to be then. It's shifting into two factions again. Then, so the website, when it comes up again, will explain all that, because I'm literally creating a universe online that people can get involved with.
Wow.
Because it has become, it's become a functional universe, and fans have wanted to ask questions. I'm also writing a book of kind of short poems and mini stories that are actually from the heads of the characters in the book, explaining the universe as well. So it's becoming a whole different thing in itself.
So please tell me you have to write it all down, because I know when I was writing my book, my book, The Boy from Beyond the Ice House, was very semi-autobiographical, and even though it was based upon real people, I had to remember whose name I changed to what, and why, and what the relationship structure was, and because otherwise, if I didn't write it down, I would just be like, who? Who are you talking about?
Absolutely. I have so many, but a friend, Christopher, introduced me to a thing called Scrivener.
Heard of that.
Or Scrivener, I don't know how you want to pronounce it. And basically, you create online on that. It will help you break it down if you want to turn it into a screenplay or a book or whatever. But you have a notice board on there, or a clipboard, and basically, I have hundreds and hundreds of notice boards with. I have to have lists of characters who are. I'm going to be careful. Characters who are in certain situations, who are in different places, who are in different timelines, who are different characters who will survive, who won't survive, who will shift, who will, etc., etc. And they are scattered all over that notice board. And I'm constantly having to take notes. But you can do that on your computer. But originally, I had A3 sheets of paper all over my living room floor. I had whiteboard paper all over my living room walls. It was ridiculous. I mean, it did genuinely look like a mad scientist lived there. It was absurd, and it was very, very difficult, obviously, to keep record of what I was doing, because you've also got to, with the kind of stories I'm writing as well, the plot line changes within itself constantly, so I can really quite keep up with, where it was going. So that makes it much easier as well.
So is there any truth?
Yeah, there are notes everywhere. It's absurd.
So is there any truth in the rumor there's a character in the new book based upon Maxine Waters? With a shape-shifting wig and all of that. Is that not true? Did I just dream that? What? We're taking that as a no then, Ty, are we? Are we taking that as a no?
Wait, I think you could say that as a no, yeah.
That's a shame, because I think Maxine Waters would make a really good sci-fi character with a wig. Like a symbiotic wig. In some of these sci-fi things, they have a symbiote and the alien lives inside of them and blah blah blah. But I think I would love to read about Maxine Waters and her symbiotic wig. But that's just me.
You never know. I might get bored one after this.
Yes.
I'll give it a go.
So if you are out there and you are a writer and you write sci-fi, you should write about Maxine Waters' symbiotic wig.
We'll do it. We'll do it the holiday special for the show if you want.
Yes.
I'll give it a go. 5-minute special.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it is the 500th episode today of the X-RAD show. We started off being called Xandermonium, and then Xandermonium kind of grew into a network, and then the show became the X-RAD show, and so a lot of people were kind of a little bit anti. They didn't like that we kind of, said it how it was. We were kind of open and honest about things as they'd really occurred. But it was, a lot of people said it'll never last, and certain people, put X's on it and stuff. But here we are, 500 shows later, and Tyhe, was involved in the very beginning. But can you believe it's like we lost Tyhe momentarily, because Tyhe is actually calling from London. But I'm sure he will call us back any second. So just while waiting for Tyhe to call back, I want to say hi to people in the live feed. Hi to Zal. Hi to Dave. Hi to Mark. Hi to Joey. Hi to Gina. Hi to Joe. Hi to Shyster. You should check out Tyhe's book. It's called Mother's Ruin. Hi to CV. Hello, Wing Fuzz. Take your order.
Hello, can I have 2 to take away, please?
No, sorry, we no deliver. Was just saying a quick hi to people in the live feed. And welcome to our early birds. You are most welcome. I was just explaining that obviously you're calling internationally, so sometimes there are interruptions. I blame the Russians myself. So I want to jump right into a hot topic and talk a little bit about things that are going on in the world today. Got a few sci-fi fans in the live feed, Tyhe, so we'll have to make sure we share your book link before the end of the show, so people like Shyster can go and check it out.
It's not actually available yet at the minute, so we'll let you know on the show.
Right.
So when it is.
For sure.
A few weeks before it's out again. Sorry, but thanks.
Absolutely. You will really want to check that out when it comes out again. I've read it, and I can't wait for the second one. I really can't. So from science fiction to science fact, did you like that segue? Trump's lawyers today said his income tax returns do not show income from Russian sources or debt owed to Russians, with the exception of a $95 million paid by a Russian billionaire for a Trump-owned estate in Florida, and $12.2 million in payments in connection with holding the Miss Universe pageant in Moscow, Dnipropetrovsk, in 2013. Now, the statements are contained in a letter from 2 lawyers, Sherry A. Dillon and William F. Nelson, to Mr. Trump, which the White House released on Friday. The president cited the letter in an interview with Lester Holt of NBC News of proof that there were no hidden financial links between himself and Russia. Now, in addition to the Florida estate and the beauty pageant, the lawyers said Mr. Trump received an undisclosed payments over 10 years from Russians for hotel rooms, rounds of golf, or Trump licensed products like wine, ties, or mattresses. Trump mattresses, I've never heard of that. But they said those amounts were immaterial and would not have been identified as coming from Russian sources in the tax returns. Now, the lawyers noted that their statement covers only the period dating to 2005, when their firm, Morgan Lewis and Bokius, began representing Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization. He said it also leaves many questions unanswered owing to the complexity of international finance, such as whether Mr. Trump or his firms receive Russian income or loans from entities registered elsewhere. Now, the details in the letter are generally consistent with what Mr. Trump's sons, Eric and Donald Jr., have been saying in news in interviews of late regarding income associated with Russian entities. Now, they acknowledge a considerable profit gained from a 2008 sale of Maison de l'Amitié, a sprawling beachfront estate in Palm Beach, Florida, which the Trump family acquired for $41 million in the year 2005. The buyer was a Russian billionaire, Dmitry. Why are these Russian billionaires always called Dmitry? Rybolovlev. I've been practicing that today, Rybolovlev. But the Trump Organization could still be an investor in entities for which he's not the sole or principal owner that have Russian debts. Now, here's the thing for me, Tyhe. I don't know how closely you follow American politics, but he's been in the job for 100 days. The Democrats haven't left him alone. I'd be ready to pounce on him if he's done things wrong, but, I really can't see anything with regards to the Russian collusion that they're investigating, or the fact that he's been paid by the Russian mafia, or any of those things. Isn't it time to just let him get on with his job, and then we'll see what he does from there?
I think it is, but I don't think they will. I mean, I pay quite close attention. Myself and my best friend, as you know, we pay very close attention to what's going on in America.
Right.
And the whole idea is that the Clinton-esques, the tragic little puppets, aren't ever going to leave them alone, I don't think. And, I mean, he doesn't do himself any favours, I have to say. Sometimes he behaves, more than a little strangely. But they're going to dig and dig and dig until they find something. And of course, eventually they'll find something a little dodgy. He's a billionaire, isn't he? And nobody makes that kind of money without doing something dodgy.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't think Russia like him, do they? So
no. Exactly.
He's colluding with them is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't really see what the point is to say that he's colluding with... I think America needs to really sit back and take a look at how lucky they are that they didn't get Hillary Clinton as the president. Because they would have basically got a terrorist in the White House. So I really do think, it's time to have a look at what's going on and be thankful. Because have a look at what's going on over here in the UK, and ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it's really scary. At least you have a man who is stupid enough to be loud about what's happening. And I don't actually, when I say stupid enough, I don't actually believe it and not mean that disrespectfully. I mean, he's stupid enough not to maybe be scared as he should be about the people he's mouthing off about.
Right.
And that's keeping you at least alert to what, certain things that are going on, because what's going on out here is really frightening. We're losing privacy hand up fist. I mean, we're about to become George Orwellian here. 1984.
So it's a worry.
Arrived.
And I have to say,
Boris keep digging with the Russians. I don't really get it.
No, I don't. Because if they, they clearly don't like Donald Trump, and some could say, oh, well, that's a front. They would say that if they wanted us to think that nothing was going on. But I'm actually sick of all this conspiracy, and it's time to kind of put up or shut up, because I think that there's far much more going on in the world than this. And when people are more concerned with the president's tax returns for the last 10 years than they are about, terrorism and things like that, one has to scratch one's head and say, WTF, what's going on?
Well, absolutely. But there is a conspiracy going on, but, find out what it is. There are plenty of people, go to YouTube, there are plenty of people telling you what the conspiracy is, and it's got very little to do with the White House. I mean, all that damage was done generations ago. The conspiracy, the Rothschilds are out there. There are other people out there. There are plenty of people, who are doing the damage to us. But also, we sit back and let it happen. Every day we sit back and go, "Oh, that's terrible. That's outrageous.
Right.
Shocking." And then we open the wine, we switch the TV on, we change channels, and we sit back and let it happen. And now we're paying the price for that, and as long as we continue to do that, it will happen. And people are listening to you and I talk about Trump's tax returns, and we've been telling people for a long time that that's not the point. People are outraged that Trump got in, but how did Trump get in? He got voted in.
Yes.
And now people are saying, oh, that's not right, that can't be right. Well, it clearly is, but if Hillary Clinton had got in, and then we find out what we find, because how many facts about Hillary Clinton are out there that people have just ignored?
Yes.
Just not bothered mentioning. And where is she now, by the way?
Haunting the woods of Chappaqua, apparently.
Right.
Which I think is concerning when you think about it. She should actually be in jail, because she committed 33,000 acts of mishandling classified information that we know of. And, we know of people, there are people that we support on this show, like Christian Saucier, who took 6 selfies on a 40-year-old submarine that even the president said, nobody wants this, anybody that wanted those pictures has had them, years ago. But she walks away from this. But, the thing is with Hillary Clinton is she's been doing this for years and getting away with it. And the concern for me is that what does this say about to the rest of the world about America. That we keep turning our back on the things that she's done. Because I think she should have got 10 years in jail. I mean, if the FBI says to you, we want to see your devices, and you smash them all up, what does that say right away? Because if the FBI said, Xander Gibb, we think you're doing something wrong, we want, apart from your criminal dress sense, we want to see your devices, I'd be like, there you go, guys. Apart from a little bit of porn that I really wouldn't want people to know about, because no, I don't look at porn. I've got nothing to hide. But the concern is that when you break up your devices, when you smash them up, that tells me you've got something to hide.
Well, absolutely. It's just completely out of hand now. But what the important thing to do is now get people to stand up and really take a look around themselves, and have a look at what's going on in front of them, or behind them, actually, I suppose. But if we don't stand up and do something, we really are going to get taken down, because the people's privacy is gone, it's done. And people, once they believe that nothing can be done and they can't do anything about it, well, that's exactly what will happen. And before we know, look at Obamacare. People around the world thought, oh, what a fabulous plan, what a great idea that was.
Yeah.
Realised that basically that was an act of terrorism.
You're absolutely right, and it was such a bad piece of legislation that people were. It was so un-American that people were being forced to buy it. I can't afford healthcare because under the past few years under Obama, when I submit my tax returns, I get penalized for not being able to afford healthcare, and that bothers me in these United States because compulsory purchase orders are just are bad enough anyway. When they want to buy your building to get you out, so they can build a high-rise block or something there. Those things are bad enough. But when they're saying to you, if you don't buy this health insurance, we're gonna fine you for not being able to afford it. That to me is that's just the epitome of bad taste.
But absolutely. But I had a friend here arguing with me who was a nurse and saying, "Oh, Tyhe, you don't know what you're saying. It's not this, that, and the other." And then I said, "Of course, but you forget who I host the radio show with and where they live."
Right.
But why would I be saying what I'm saying if I didn't know what I was saying? So, right across the world, everybody was saying, "Oh no, Obama's done a wonderful thing. It's fantastic," without knowing anything about it. Simply through media,
right?
We know lies to us every single day.
Exactly, and I think the worry is that this was exactly why I started this show, because I like most people would be spoon-fed the facts and would believe them, and what we tend to do as human beings is we take the watered down opinions of others and make them our own in order to feel like we're important and that we're clever, and then we put those opinions over as our own, and then when people want to kind of test us on them, when it tests us on our mettle, they do so, and they find out that we don't know what we're talking about. And I think that practically every news site has an axe to grind because of who they're funded by. Whoever pays their bills will have a say in what they're saying.
Of course, absolutely. It's the same as, isn't it? The old adage is, well, milk's good for you. Well, how do you know that? Well, because the milk board says so.
Yes.
It's the same throughout the world. Whenever you're watching something and you're being told something is good for you, go back, immediately go to the bottom of the page and see in the small print who is funding that, who is financing that research. And 9 times out of 10, you'll find that whoever's financing the research are the people. It's a product that's telling you it's good for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to move on now. I want to talk a bit about the story that you have brought along for us today, which is I'm going to let you present it. Yes. I'm not talking about me before you ask.
Sorry?
I said, I just saying to the audience that when they say blue whale, they're not talking about me.
It better not be. No, blue whale. Yeah, it's something I came across actually today while I was kind of scouring around and being nosy as I am on the internet as I do, and it's basically what's considered blue whale is considered a twisted suicide challenge that is a disappearing of vulnerable teens is encouraging vulnerable teens to kill themselves, or it appears to be. It's a dangerous game that's been linked to at least 113 deaths in Russia.
Wow.
Police in the UK have now started warning parents about the challenge. The game is believed to be an online social media group which is encouraging people to kill themselves. Hundreds of thousands of posts relating to this trend on Instagram, which is unusual. It's usually, you don't very often hear about Instagram being involved in these things. It's thought a group administrator is assigning daily tasks to members which they have to complete over 50 days. This includes self-harming, watching horror movies, waking up at unusual hours, and gradually the tasks become more extreme. On the 50th day, the suggestion is that the young person kills themselves. The SPCC, which for people not in the UK is the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, their spokesperson released a statement saying children can find it difficult to stand up to peer pressure, but they must know it's perfectly okay to refuse to take part in crazes like this, and it can make them feel unsafe or scared. Parents should talk with their children and emphasise that they can make their own choices and discuss ways of how to say no. So if you're worried about this, please, check out what your kids are doing on social media. It doesn't mean that you're stalking them or sticking your nose into their private life. It's called the blue whale game. They're posting pictures of blue whales, so check out if there's not other pictures of blue whales on their social media. Is there a mention of this? Are there pictures in their social media of, are there sick and twisted pictures on there? I know that your kid might be a goth, but there's a difference between sick, twisted pictures, and goth pictures. Is it coming? We don't know now whether it is moving into the UK and over to America. We've just been talking about Russia. That's really why this story, I kind of picked this story up.
Right.
Essex Police here informed the school in Basildon about the Blue Whale Challenge. The head teacher wrote out to the parents saying, please be aware of this game. Talk to your children about it if you're concerned. Police are probing a number of suicides across Russia, which appears to be linked to the online craze. It's not been identified definitely as the blue whale game, but 130 suicides between November 2015 and April 2016.
That's startling.
Yeah, and almost all these children were members of the same internet groups, but and always says this, always lived in good, happy families. So, we're not saying these were not weird children that crouched in a corner in a dark room.
Right.
But please don't think, oh, my child's great. They wear woolly slippers and they're happy in the corner. It's got nothing to do with being unhappy. They're being pulled into these games like so often it happens. They're being convinced that something's different about them, or they're being changed. And also, if they're being sleep deprived, that's how people's minds are altered. Don't think that, because they always know watching a horror movie, that's what made somebody insane. I write this shit, and excuse me, sorry, but I write, Stephen King, Clive Barker, all these people would be in insane asylums if that was the case.
Right.
It's altered by influence, and when they believe they're part of something special that nobody else is a part of, this is how it's influenced. Sleep deprivation, programming, this is how it's influenced. This is how we're influenced. It's called Fox News, it's called BBC, it's called CNN.
Right.
We're all programmed some way. And there are families. A family raped a 15-year-old girl from killing herself, which she's now recovering in Barcelona, apparently. Now, Instagram, what they're doing to stop this, are saying they started showing user warnings when they search for pictures related to it. When people start searching for pictures related to a blue whale, they're instantly saying, when you search for the term on the network, a notification appears which reads, posts with words or tags you're searching are often encouraging behaviour that can cause harm and even lead to death.
Wow.
If you're going through something difficult, we'd like to help, but then directly under the post, it gives the option to see posts anyway.
Right.
Well, of course it does. It's social media. It's not their responsibility. But it's saying there are several shocking pictures of self-harm and even jokes and a sick game once you click through to see these images.
Right. I definitely think parents have a responsibility in all of this, though, because, I have a 10-year-old niece, and, what the first thing we did when her mom got her a new laptop was that I insisted that we put the Net Nanny on it so that she, she couldn't go to these sites, because I think most parents are because a lot of people don't go on the internet. A lot of people kind of feel that because they don't go on the internet, they think it's okay. But there are sites out there I don't want to go to, never mind young children. And the concern really is that, you know, before it even gets to that stage, you put a barrier on your child's computer so that they cannot go to sites that are for kids over a certain age.
But be aware, and my final kind of words that I wanted to say at the end of this was, you know, be aware of your kids' moods. Talk to them, not at them. And I know I'm not a parent for everybody who's now probably shouting at me now, but I am a counsellor. I am an uncle. I am aware of children. But you've got to be aware of how you're doing this, and be a friend, not a distant judge.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, you know, it's your responsibility. It's not your neighbours. It's not the internet. It's not Facebook. And God knows Facebook doesn't protect anybody. And they've got to feel safe at home. They've got to know they can talk to you, because if they don't feel safe at home, where is it they should feel safe? So don't assume that because they're laughing outside with their friends that there's nothing going on their social media.
Right.
This is clearly saying these kids, these 130 kids, most of them came from happy families. And I think the message there is, you know, they are not strange eyeline wearing young men sitting in a corner ignoring the family.
Not that
nothing wrong with young men wearing eyeliner.
No, exactly. Not that makes you a bad person. Dave's asking in the live feed if Net Nanny is available on Amazon. Yeah, it is, and there are lots of different versions of it. But if you just type in Net Nanny on any search engine, you'll be able to find something. There are even free things out there as well.
There are lots of different versions out there. Yes, there are. You can protect your internet viewing with. Yeah.
Absolutely. So just very briefly, I want to just talk a little bit about this last item, which really I was really angry about today, because after months of problems for commuters, Amtrak said on Thursday that it plans to have a private company manage the concourse level areas it controls in New York's outdated, overcrowded Pennsylvania station. Now they're going to create a new development entity tasked with selecting a management firm for its concourse areas. What a crazy name, Wick Mormon, said at New York State Assembly Committee hearing in Manhattan, disturbances have drawn attention to the problems the station's concourse level areas, which can quickly become crowded with delayed passengers when one disruption ripples to other trains. Last month, the station was crammed with commuters after a power outage. Chaos broke out because of unfounded rumors that someone was shooting a gun. 13 people were injured. Part of the problem is the growth in the region. Now, Penn Station, the busiest station in the U.S. transit hub, now handles double the number of trains it did when Amtrak took it over from a bankrupt private operator, Penn Central Transportation Company. Now, in 1976, Mormon said a detailed plan of outages expected next week. The most complex disruptive jobs that will require more tracks to be taken out of service one time will be performed at night. Amtrak is also planning to issue alerts during the summer months to keep customers up to date for the privatization of services that has statistically proven getting some feedback there, Ty, for consumers, why would this be any different? So when they privatize things, the service seems to get worse than it has with Amtrak. So why would they want to do that again with the train service? You know, I'm sure you can identify with this when British Rail was privatized. I mean, it's terrible now, isn't it, on the trains?
It is, and it just gets worse, and it gets more expensive, and everything slows down. But somebody somewhere is making money from it, and nobody's saying anything.
Exactly, because they're not plowing the profits back into the service, which is what happened when it was run by the government. What they're actually doing is plowing the profits into somebody's pocket. So, you know, the concern is that the consumer loses, you know, all of the time, and the safety issues as well. You know, statistically, under privatized travel organizations are far lower than those that are run by the government. And it's not that I'm saying that, you know, I think the government is better, but I think the government are far less willing to put people at risk because they don't want to be sued.
Well, exactly. Generally speaking, they're held to accountability. They're held higher as far as accountability, because private companies, will just say it's just insurance, and also they just increase prices to cover that cost. The government can't do that, and this is the problem. And unfortunately, as well, people, as you just said, people's jobs will go. The service will get worse, and it will continue. And unfortunately, there's not a lot anybody can do about that unless the customer. So this is the thing: we have to learn as people that we are the power.
Right.
And I know I sound like an old hippie, but it's the truth. And we could really lead by example here, because gay people proved this very powerfully in the 80s with the pink pound. If people said, we're not paying for the service anymore until you make it right, they would have no option but to do it, because if everybody stopped using that service, they would go bankrupt.
Right. I think one of the things that I observed, when I lived in the UK when this was privatized, is that the service got so bad with the trains and stuff that it was affecting commuters, it was affecting everybody. But they set, with the contracts that the government gave to privatize things, they gave a benchmark, but did nothing about when these organizations didn't reach the benchmark, and customers were very adversely affected, and long term. I mean, and I think it was a bad move they then, because they farmed it out first of all, and then they sold it, didn't they? What the British government did was they just were selling off blocks of what the public owned. So if it's owned by the public and it's sold, then the public should get the money. No, it doesn't happen like that. They spend it on immigrants and giving it to housing for people with 25 kids, that really should be crossing their legs and not reproducing, spitting out bastard babies day after day. Because those who have paid into the system don't get to take it out. And that for me is a huge concern. It's interesting in this country, a lot of states, because like each state has different laws, but in this state, in a lot of states, they won't let you claim benefits unless A, you're legal, and B, you've paid into the system for a certain amount of time. But why shouldn't that be the case? I paid into a pension scheme in the UK, as in, to get a government pension. I'll never see that, because they've given it to some freaking foreigner who's never paid into the system. And that's not me making a racist statement. That's me telling the truth. Isn't it, Tyhe?
Absolutely. And it happens all the time, but this is the clever, divisive thing that they do. Can you say this? No, that's racist. Well, actually, hang on a minute, that's not racism, this is a point of fact. It would be racist if I was saying something divisive to deliberately hurt somebody simply because it was against, it was deliberately aimed at somebody racially, basically.
Yes.
But this is a very clever thing that governments do as well. It throw things like that into the mix. It's the same as me, as I am attacked for constantly by saying, transgender issues are not gay issues; they are human rights issues.
Too right.
These things get thrown in the mix all the time. I'm afraid of terrorists, not Muslims. I am afraid because not all terrorists are Muslims.
Yeah.
But they will throw that in the mix and say, "Oh, that's anti-Muslim." I was like, "Well, I never mentioned Muslims. I was talking about terrorists. Why did you mention Muslims?"
Yeah.
That's a really interesting comment. Do you know what I mean? Let's do this all the time, and they mix it up to the point where you're too afraid to say anything about anyone.
Do you remember that joke that was going around a few years ago? They were saying the joke was, "What do you call a Muslim in a cockpit?" And you would see people would be puzzled, and then the response was, "A terrorist, you racist." I mean, I'm sorry, the pilot, because they were expecting you to say, a terrorist. I think the media is responsible for a lot of this brainwashing, and it's not fair. I mean, does England and America have huge problems with immigrants, both legal and illegal? Absolutely, yes, they do. Should people be able to move to another country and benefit from their financial systems without paying into them for at least 5 years? Hell no. And if that makes me a racist for saying that, I can't think why. Because if you're spending my money as a government on people that have not paid into a fund, then you're robbing me. You're stealing from me, surely.
Well, and also it doesn't work, does it? As a system, it falls down financially worldwide, but that's exactly what's happening. The world has crashed. Nobody's noticed yet. Somebody somewhere is hoping that nobody will notice. Money, the world has crashed. But we're already bankrupt. It's just that nobody's told us yet. It can't possibly work. That's why Brexit is now become a good idea. A lot of people...
Oh, totally.
But the problem is we've got a conservative government, which is a bad idea. We have a monster in power. But there's no real way out of that because we don't really have anybody who can come in and save the day. So vive la revolution is what I say.
Yeah, but it's
sadly, there's nobody here to start a revolution because everybody's too lazy or stupid to realise that it's needed.
But, interestingly enough, conservatism in the UK, I could never have been a conservative. I would never have classified myself as a conservative in the UK, and you know why. But conservatism in America is a totally different animal than it is in the UK.
I think it's becoming a totally different animal here, but we're a country that is slowly slipping into an Orwellian state. It's a scary place.
It is actually scary. When all this Brexit stuff was going on, I had people saying to me, "Oh, it's racist to want the Brexit, and how would you know anything about it?" Well, I obviously lived there for 20 years, so I have a pretty good idea of what went on. I saw the deregulation of the systems. I saw Europe benefiting from being able to regulate British farmers, etc., which was a huge concern because all of the industries in the UK were affected by that, and the only ones that benefited from it were Europe. Do I think people that have moved to the UK during the time where England was where the UK was a part of Europe should be kicked out? Absolutely not. If they've paid into the system, they should be able to stay there. If they are citizens, if they've applied for citizenship, and then they should be treated accordingly. But no, not if you've just been there 5 minutes and you've paid nothing in. Go back to where you came from and let them pay for you. Because taxpayers should not be supporting people who do not pay into the system. But Xander is racist for saying that.
It's kind of the other way around as well, sort of people in Europe saying, "Oh my God, now do I have to go back to the UK?" And they don't want to.
Right.
And nor would I, really. This is not to the... I mean, as you know, I've relocated again back in the past 12 months. I'm back in London. I moved back from Scotland, and I love London. I spent the fabulous 10 years. It's where you and I met originally.
Yes.
So that's always a fabulous thing. But I moved from Scotland. I love Scotland. The people are amazing, and I think they will go for independence again. And I think if they do go for independence vote this time, I think they will get a yes vote, and that will be very interesting as to what happens to this country then, because they are basically the poorest oil-bearing country in the world. So because England screwed them, so it could get very interesting here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Scotland were treated really badly, and they were told that they were sold a bill of goods, and that the UK would take care of them, etc., etc. But they didn't. I'm just wondering what's happened to Thomas. Maybe I should call him. I'm hoping he hasn't. That nothing has happened, but maybe he forgot. We will see. We are calling our guest Thomas now to see where he is.
It's not like we can't talk, really, is it?
No, exactly.
However, it is now 1:45 in the morning in the UK for me.
Yes, it is indeed. He is not picking up, so I am...
Hello, this is Dr. James Sejarnet. Thank you for call.
I am guessing that something has happened, but I'm sure we can carry on.
We can throw something together. darling.
We can indeed. So why do you think that there was this ideology from a lot of people, mostly immigrants in the UK, that Brexit was racist?
Because it started a lot. Well, according to the press, there were a lot of racist attacks, and Brexit was about racism. But I think, sadly, what happened was it stirred up a lot of racist feelings because of the way it happened and the way it was projected.
Right.
Because a lot of people who voted for to leave Europe, certainly people I know who voted to leave Europe, weren't voting to leave because they didn't want people emigrating here. They voted to leave because they were fed up of paying billions of pounds into Europe and not getting anything really back. Well, not getting as much back. We realised that we were paying more in than everybody else. There were a lot of things going on. That we were contributing more than other countries. We were getting screwed, basically. And people were laughing at us, and we just kind of went, hang on a minute, well, let's give the option.
Yes.
Let's have the option. Unfortunately, the way things were done, I don't think they were done very well. And there were certain parties, right, everybody listening to this knows what happens when a bully will always use an excuse, any kind of party as an excuse to cause trouble. So what happened was, normal people just said, who thought about it, thought, well, no, we want to leave or we want to stay. So they made their vote. The bullies, the nasty, the idiots, saw an excuse to cause trouble. Now, on the back of that, the real politically motivated terrorists, let's call them, because terrorism's terrorism, isn't it? If you cause fear and panic, you're a terrorist. Saw an opportunity there to make it even worse, so they moved forward with their plan. So we got racist attacks in the street, we got people racially attacking politically and verbally, plus in the papers or on the streets, people were being. But to be clear, for everybody who doesn't live in the UK, there were not riots in the streets. Our version of the Ku Klux Klan was not riding horses down the street attacking people of non-white persuasion.
What are they called? National Front, aren't they, in the UK?
Well, the British National Party or something else they're called now.
Right.
They are ridiculed wherever they go. The leader of well, he stepped down. He couldn't show his face publicly, basically, after a very short period of time. The streets of the UK, unfortunately, yes, there are races here, but hello, KKK.
Yes.
They don't. They are not welcomed on the streets of the UK. That nobody walks around shaking their hands. The streets of the UK are not rolling with racists at all, or homophobes for that matter. Can I say?
That's not Thomas
You'll see
calling.
headlines of like homophobic attack here, there, and everywhere. I haven't had a homophobic slur or whatever against me.
Hello, is this Thomas?
I can't remember.
Hey, one.
I'm so sorry. I have a really good excuse, though.
No,
sorry. Hi.
no problem.
Hi.
You're live on the 500th episode of the X-RAD show. We were just worried about you, and then I saw then when the name came up, I was confused by the name. But welcome to the show. We just hope you're okay. We've just been talking Brexit, but tell us what happened to you. We hope you're okay.
Hello.
Oh, no, it's just that all of a sudden I had to go to. I can make it political, okay? Because my domestic partner is a doctor, and what I've learned is that companies, especially insurance companies, will do whatever they think the current administration will allow them to get away with.
Right.
And under President Bush, the insurance company checks used to come on the same day every month. I used to even feel comfortable writing checks against them the day before. But then Obama became president and everything changed. And we used to start on that day, instead of a check, you would get a letter saying, oh, well, the billing code is wrong. But then they never tell you that the billing code has changed. And then when you call them, they don't know what the billing code is. So anyways, I'm in the town car with Stephen and Kalki, and we're in downtown Beverly Hills going to the post office box, and they're doing all this construction there because our mayor, Eric Garcetti, in exchange for campaign funds, had offered all these constructors these construction jobs to build all these places that nobody can afford. So anyways, I went into the post office box, got the mail, came out to the car, and then Kalki had to go shishi. And so when Kalki was thinking shishi, it wasn't number 1 shishi, it was number 2 shishi. And so I was taking that out of the litter box and putting it into a trash can when I realized, oh my God, it's past 5:40, because I thought I was going to make it in and out really fast. But then Kalki made shishi.
So just for the record, Kalki is a cat, for those of you that don't know. And are you telling me you've got a litter box in your town car for the cat?
Yes.
Wow. That is...
Yeah, Kalki doesn't go anywhere without me. He's never been left alone. Yes.
Well, welcome to the 500th episode of the show. You're live with myself and Tyhe, who is calling us from the UK.
Hey,
hello,
Tyhe from
Thomas.
the UK.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. That is the...
I'm sure I just made your impressions of Americans even worse.
I'm sitting here like thinking, the cat gets to ride in a town car. I don't even have a car right now, but Thomas's cat can ride in the town car and has his own litter box. So I think you need to.
I told before about the town car, how we had to get rid of the car because we couldn't afford the car under the Obama depression, and I ran the numbers, and it's cheaper to use a town car than to actually own a car, have car insurance, have car payments, and put gas in it. And so it sounds really glamorous, but I'm actually saving money by being in a town car. It's way more glamorous than it is. It's a town car, but I'm saving money.
We will definitely take your word for that. Dave is saying in the live feed, Tyhe, that his girlfriend just said that you have a very sexy accent. So there you go.
Thank you very much.
So we don't have a lot of time left, but I really want to find out what you think of the hullabaloo with the reaction to the firing of Comey this week, and oh, it didn't happen. The president didn't wear a pink tie, and it wasn't 5 minutes past the hour, and all that usual ridiculous claptrap.
Well, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, and what we need to remember is that our new president is very strategic, and everything is done for a reason. And I'm so proud of that new young lady who was elected to Congress in the district of Albany. And her questioning of Comey 2 months ago, and the body language on him was so uncomfortable. He admitted under oath that he colluded with Susan Rice, with Sally Yates, and with James Clapper, and intentionally did not inform Congress. And so here's the thing. The firing of Comey sheds a light on the collusion of the Senate Intel committees in both the House and in the Senate. In the House, we got Pelosi and Adam Schiff, and then over in the Senate, we've got Feinstein and we've got McConnell. And so and that testimony is over 2 months old.
Right.
So when he admitted to intentionally not telling Congress for 2 months, which means he was running an operation for 2 months with no oversight, why the hell wasn't Paul Ryan, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and Mitch McConnell saying, hey, wait a minute, the FBI director has been running an operation for 2 months without any oversight from us. They're the intel committees.
Right.
That's their job, is to provide oversight. And I think it's a sin and a shame that the media is not talking about that.
Absolutely. And
Paul Ryan, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Dianne Feinstein, Mitch McConnell, and Schumer, who are all members of the Intel Committee in both the House and the Congress. As soon as that testimony from 2 months ago was heard, it's in the first 3 minutes of the one on YouTube that everyone's watching,
right,
where this new 20-year-old congresswoman, the youngest congresswoman ever from upstate New York in Albany, she really pulled the Band-Aid off and exposed the real
absolutely.
Because those are the members of the Intel Committee. They're supposed to provide oversight, and Comey admitted that he intentionally withheld information from them. So why didn't they say anything 2 months ago?
Absolutely. We have to stop. Thomas, we have to stop there, but I have 2 words for you. Special prosecutor. That's what we need now. We need a special prosecutor to look into the misdeeds of Comey, dating back to the year dot and including Hillary Clinton. We have to stop there because we have gone so over time. But thank you for calling in, Thomas. Thomas will be back with us on Monday for the Monday night show, and all of his contact information is on the Xrad Facebook show page for today. I'm glad Kalki is okay. You have a fabulous weekend, Thomas, and give our love to Jim.
Oh, thank you, guys. And again, I'm so sorry I called late.
No problem.
I'll be on time on Monday.
Absolutely. Speak to you soon. Take care.
All right. Bye, Tyhe.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Be well.
That was Thomas S. Schmitz. Make sure you check him out. All of his info is on the X-RAD Facebook page, show page for today. Thanks to my fabulous co-host, Tyhe Paul Egar. Tell people where they can find you, Tyhe.
Currently, you can just stick to Twitter because everything else has disappeared. So you can just find me at Tyhe Paul Egar, which is TYHEPAULEGAR, capital P, capital P, capital E.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful weekend. I'm sure I will speak to you very soon. And Tyhe will be back with us next Friday with some more of that British accent. All right. Thanks a lot, Tyhe. Take care. Lots of love.
You too. Take care, babe. Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Tyhe Paul Egar. Make sure you check him out. Make sure you check out his book. It's going to be re-released soon. It's called Mother's Ruin from the Reclamation Wars. On Monday's show, my co-host is Thomas S. Schmitz, as you heard, and our guest is Tammy Messina from The Real Side. This was our 500th show. I'm sure sorry if you had problems watching. Facebook is a real SHIT right now. I'm hoping that it will get better and that it's not just that they are penalizing conservative broadcasters, as has been stated. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone in the live feed. We will be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stick around and watch me on The Real Side with Joe Messina right after this. Make sure you stick around and join us. I love you all. Bye-bye.
Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were bound to change when it was